Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us today as the EPSoft team sits down to discuss the challenging climate that we are all faced with. As we know, the COVID-19 pandemic has marked a time of volatility for business standards, and since the onset of this global crisis, we have been inundated with questions about robotic process automation and how it can help aid in the COVID-19 response. So today, we're going to host a discussion to address some of the common questions and concerns that we've been hearing. But before we turn on our cameras, allow me to first introduce the EPSoft team members on today's call. First, we have our founder, chairman, and CEO, Gopal Parvathaneni, our co-founder and COO, Paul Andre, our president, Brenda Bazan, and myself, Katie Oliver. All right, team, let's turn on our cameras and get started. Okay, so let's jump right into the common questions that we have been hearing. Paul, I'm going to start with you. So we have seen a lot in the news regarding process automation or RPA helping businesses and governments alike during this COVID crisis. Can you speak to some of those use cases?
Sure, absolutely. The first one I think I'd speak to is, for example, the United States government has implemented RPA to speed up the rate that infection data is being counted. And this helps officials understand the impact the virus is having on our communities as quickly as possible. And then on the front lines, another use case that's being utilized now, RPA is also helping on front lines, providing hospitals with much needed relief with respect to testing, analysis, and coordination. RPA allows the hospitals to rapidly collect their COVID testing data and share it with the CDC much faster than humans can, and thus speeding up our understanding of the virus and bolstering our ability to respond.
Okay, Gopal, so now I'm going to turn to you because as chairman and CEO of EPSoft, I'm sure that this pandemic has incited a period of reflection for you, as it has for many executives. And according to one study by EY, more than half of surveyed businesses are restructuring operations because of disruptions from this global health crisis. Do you think that RPA could or should be part of this restructuring?
Absolutely, Katie. That's a great question because, in general, technology will and should play a major role in trying to get most of these businesses that are trying to keep their head above the water back in the game. While businesses are trying to wait for the magic bullet or the vaccine, it's not going to be sooner. I mean, it's going to take at least 12 to 18 months based on some of the news that I've read recently. But that doesn't mean it's going to go away. I mean, the situation is going to stay like this for some more time. So we have to see how the technology can actually help businesses get back quickly by keeping the employees safely. And automation in general will help these businesses to at least run their bare minimum processes that are absolutely critical for their businesses to run smoothly. So they have to adapt to these technologies, try to understand what are the key processes that are needed for them to run their operations on a day-to-day basis. The good part of this technology is they don't have to change their processes. There is no real re-engineering in trying to adapt to this technology. That's a huge part because at this time, I don't think anybody is going to actually spend time re-engineering their processes or businesses. So having a technology that is easy to deploy without much customization in hand is going to help them, safely and smoothly get back their business without having to have all these people back in the office. That's an important part because it's not going to be, a simple switch that will say, okay, from tomorrow, let's get back to work. It is going to be, over a period of time. We will probably continue to work remotely in spite of what the government says with respect to lockdowns and all. So as people are staying remote, having something that actually connects people no matter where they are and still enable them to work together without really spending a lot of time on these repetitive tasks will absolutely help these businesses to get back to work pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's a great point. And, Brenda, I know that you work with businesses every day to determine what processes within their businesses would benefit most from automation. In your opinion, is it too late to adopt RPA to deal with situations like this current one?
It's so interesting because we're in the middle of this real time. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
when it started only a couple of months ago, we were in the middle of engagements with customers, and they were disrupted, we were disrupted, and we've been having to real time adapt to what their needs are. So we've seen a couple of different examples. One example is employers have had to send their employees home to work from home. And if they were getting 8 to 10 hours a day of work out of those employees before, now they may be lucky to get 4, because now they have kids at home that are homeschooling. They may have multiple families in one home, and just also the stress of the current situation. So we have clients who are working with us to try to figure out how do they help their people get their job done under the constraints that they have, the real life constraints. So employee productivity, workforce productivity is a big example that we're running into. The second one is that we've run into companies who've had their business disrupted. Parts of their business have really been diminished, been decreased, and some of it temporarily. And so those people are looking at us and saying, okay, our volumes are low. We wanted to look at these automation projects. This is the time. If we do it now, it's going to have less of a long-term impact on our business. And when our business comes back and when the revenues ramp up, and they may ramp up very, very quickly, we will be ready. And then, of course, the third example is companies who are, and they do exist, where their business is growing for whatever. Maybe they're supplying PPE, maybe they're in the healthcare supply chain. And so for those businesses, they need us because they need to address some of the supply chain constraints and some of the business growth issues, productivity and efficiency issues now, because otherwise they may have difficulty meeting the demands that the market has for them. So we have a lot of different scenarios, and if there was ever a time when you have to look at each situation independently and consider each unique customer situation, it is now.
Interesting. So regardless if you're seeing extreme high or low workloads, it's not too late. Now's the time, and it actually can help supplement.
Absolutely.
Good point. And Gopal, I want to kick it back to you, because some thought leaders and analysts are referring to robotic process automation as recession-proof. And as an entrepreneur, you're part of a community of other entrepreneurs whose businesses may be struggling through this pandemic. What's your reaction to that, and how does that make you feel?
No, I mean, on one side, it's good to have a technology that can help people get back to their business and still be sustainable even during this crisis. On the other side, I feel bad for other entrepreneurs and other businesses that are having to take a big hit down because of this pandemic. So I want to, see how we can actually help these customers and businesses by offering, some our technology that can actually immediately help give them some relief, so that because it's important for these businesses to be in the market. Because it'll help the people to keep their jobs. It'll help the economy to get back, and there is a ripple effect. If people don't have a job, it's not going to help any of us. So we need to help other businesses to sustain, because that will help us as well. So I think it's important for most of these technology companies to do something for every business, keeping these spreadsheets and the profit margins and all aside for some time. I think we need to. This is the time for us to put a pause on trying to make profits and try to do something to help our community, our partners, and all the businesses that are out there, so that when things gets back to normal, I'm sure we can figure out how to make money. But right now, this is not the time to feel good or bad about what we have as a technology. And I think we need to help our businesses around us to get back to their shoes, so that they can actually survive and help the job workforce to get back to the works.
Yeah, you're right. We're all in this together. I can certainly
Yeah.
feel that, especially working with this company. Brenda, we've seen some rapid adoption of RPA in recent years, but one of the sticking points for implementing the technology for some is not knowing where to get started. And so for some organizations, they have a real lack of visibility into their current business processes. So while they may see the benefits of process automation, they're at a loss for where to start. How would you recommend that they get started?
So it's a really great question. When times were good, even when times were good, RPA implementations had a low success rate. So now you're saying, okay, we're in this incredibly disruptive, turbulent time. Where do I start and how do I reduce risk? And that's the beauty of working with a company like ours, because we have tools that we can give. We don't sell them, they're part of our platform where we can help you analyze using event logs from your current systems. We can basically map out your processes. When we do it, it looks like a heat map and it's very easy to do. And it shows the hot spots where you have excessive amounts of labor, maybe a lot of errors or repetitive processes because of problems with information flow. And so we can look at those and say, all right, these are their sweet spots. This is where you should go first. And I always tell people, go to the place where it's obvious that you can get a quick return, because as soon as you start feeling good about how a project has gone and you see the impact and your people start feeling good about the efficiencies and productivity, it's easy to then go to the second process and the second one or the third one and the fourth one. So I say start where you see a quick return, start easy, and start where it really helps your people and your productivity. And we have the tools to help people do that. So we're a great partner for customers in that regard.
And there's no issue with us working remote. You can still help companies determine those bottlenecks in their processes.
Great question, because we have had a lot of customers come to us and say, but if you do that analysis, don't you need to sit in our offices and watch our people work? And of course, because if you've never done it, you don't know that we can easily connect remotely and have great visibility into how your processes are being worked by just by analyzing your event logs in your system, how it's working. So we have a tremendous amount that we can do while still keeping our employees and your employees safe and doing this remotely. But if it requires us being there and observing people, and we can do that in a way that keeps everyone safe and in compliance with CDC recommendations, we absolutely do that. We do that with our customers all the time.
Terrific. Well, thanks to all of you for hopping on this call. These were just a few of the many questions that we're getting about RPA, and maybe we'll hop on and address some more at another time. But it's been a pleasure to be able to chat with you, and I hope we'll be able to chat again in person in the near future. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much, Katie.